For tonight, we have our current student as well as alumni in the panel.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ellie, and I'm currently a year 2 student in aerospace engineering. I would like to apologize for having my mask on as I'm still in school. Thank you.
Hi,
Hello,
good evening,
Natasha.
everyone. My name is Natasha, and I'm currently a year 2 student in biomedical engineering.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Shahir. I'm currently a year 1 student in computer engineering.
I'm Caleb, and I'm currently studying. I'm currently a year 2 studying in mechatronics.
I'm Ryan. I'm a year 3 student in the diploma in electronics.
Good evening, Dr. Ho and everyone. Thanks for having me back. I graduated from mechatronics last year and currently in SCTV just completed my term 1.
All right, you can see that we have a panel of students from year 1 to year 3 and even our graduates or alumni to help answer the question that you have. All right, so let me share my screen and continue with tonight's webinar. Hope to have your understanding that this evening session is not to influence your decision, but to provide you with information for your reference and consideration. I'd like to share with you our education landscape. This is what I have extracted from my Skill Future portal. The map is very comprehensive. The main destination is workforce. After receiving the various forms of education, this is pretty much what parents would like their children to be ultimately. That is, be independent and take care of themselves after receiving good education. And in terms of formal education, university is another destination where many aspire to be. Here, I have highlighted 6 local AU or autonomous universities, and they are NUS, NTU, SIT, SMU, SUSS, and SUTD. Even though I say that the main destination is work, we have learned from this pandemic experience that many jobs require new skill sets to stay relevant. It kind of rings a bell that in these Skill Future initiatives, we are looking at lifelong learning, meaning that we can work and then go back to school again to get another form of certification and back to work again. In short, this map has shown many pathways, and for today, we will discuss about post-secondary school pathway, in particularly Poly or JC. Let's now zoom in into our discussion on Poly or JC. Let's examine the pathway for JC. After JC, the student will go to the universities. There is no direct path to work, because A-level is still a general education. It is not a professional certification. I'd like to bring up a realistic consideration. We cannot assume that all A-level students will make it to the universities. Articles in the internet shows about 70% or 80% make it to the universities from A-level. So, the question is, what about the other 30%? What's next for them? I think I will leave this question to the individual to think about. Unlike JC, for Poly, after attaining a diploma, the student can join the workforce in the relevant skill area. Alternatively, for diploma holders, they can pursue higher education by joining one of the 6 autonomous universities I've mentioned earlier. In short, you can see that JC pathway is only cut to go university, but for Poly, it's either work or university. Let's take a look at the university pathway for JC and Poly, in particularly engineering degree. Take for example in NTU. For JC, it's 2 years A-level and 4-year undergrad study, attaining a degree in 6 years' time. But for Poly, it's 3 years diploma and 3 years undergrad studies, also 6 years to attain a degree. There is no difference in the number of years to get a degree in engineering. Here's an article I've extracted from the new paper by the Straits Times. From this article, we have 52% posted to Poly and 38% to JC. And for those who opt for Poly, we see that 45% of them are JC eligible students. We are seeing an increasing trend of JC eligible students enrolling into Poly. This is attributed to the ECG program. We hope that forums like this can also help to keep you better informed as you make your decision between Poly or JC. Let me highlight that Polytechnic graduates these days have many more options and opportunities to consider after attaining their diplomas. Just for your sensing, more than 40% of our graduates has progressed into one of the 6 autonomous universities. If we include the private and overseas universities, this percentage goes to more than 60%. In a move to open up admission to the universities for Poly graduates, university will rely on GPA scores for admission to most of their courses and no longer assess the O-level results. Here again, I'm taking reference to engineering courses. I'd like to share with you what GPA score system is like in the Poly system. If you score an A for the subject, you will have a score of 4 points. B plus 3.5 points, B 3 points, so on and so forth. The final GPA score you will get at the end of your diploma will be the average of these GPAs for all the subjects taken. And this GPA score is what the universities are looking at for their admission exercise. Take a reference on the admission profile for the courses in NTU here. The 2 columns here are for the A-level results, and these 2 columns here are the Poly GPA scores. You can see that it is averaging above 3.5, which is in the region of B plus and above. You can easily get this information from the university websites. As I mentioned earlier, time has changed. We see that 40% of our students are now studying in our local universities, and in fact, these students are offered places in both NTU or NUS. So the choice is really on them which uni offer them a better curriculum that best suit their preference. If you want to know more about university admission for diploma graduates, please feel free to check out the respective university websites. What I've shown here is the 2 biggest universities in Singapore, NUS and NTU. One thing I want to highlight here is that an engineering diploma is not only eligible to apply for engineering courses in the university, it is eligible for business courses and others, as you can see over here. However, the other way around is not true. Please don't get me wrong. We are not encouraging everyone to apply for engineering courses or to switch path from engineering to others. But I want to highlight that there are more options for engineering diplomas in higher education.
So let me first invite Ellie. Ellie is our current year 2 student from the diploma in aerospace engineering to share with us her life in Poly.
Thank you, Dr. Ho. Hello, everyone. I'm Ellie, and I would first like to apologize again for having my mask on as I'm still in school. So, thank you. So, let me share a little bit about my background. I was from CHIJ St. Teresa's Convent, and I later went to JC where I completed my A-level. And the subject combination I took was H2 Math, Chemistry, and Physics, and H1 Literature. So, first of all, why did I choose to go to the A-level route? That was because back then, after I completed my O-levels, there was this saying that A-level is a better option because it's easier to get into uni. But after going through both routes, I realized that that statement is not true because when you take the A-level route, your next step is only uni. Unlike in poly, we have 2 options, which is either to start working because we already have the basic qualifications, or we enroll into uni. So upon receiving my A-level results, it was not good enough for me to get into the course that I wanted in a local university, which was aerospace engineering. And of course, I felt very devastated as I studied really hard for my A-levels. I understood that there are many other pathways which I could have taken after my A-levels, which such as like part-time degree or even enroll myself in a private university. However, after doing my research and much consideration, I realized that poly was way more worth it, especially the aerospace course here in CP. The aerospace engineering course here in CP is a collaboration with Lufthansa Technical Training of Germany, also known as LTT. So TP is actually a SAR 147, Singapore Airworthiness training organization that provide high quality training by professional instructors, which means that we get the best guidance that is recognized by the industry in school, and all of this is actually inculcated in our curriculum. So this means that I am able to receive direct credit that will shorten the cost for me to attain my aircraft maintenance license by approximately 9 months. Apart from this, I also realized that in poly we are trained in both theory and practical skills, which really gives me an advantage when I join the working force in the future. I also have done my research. If I were to get a degree after my diploma, and I found out that I can enroll in either NTU or SIT because both universities offer aerospace courses, and they also both allow exemption for poly students. So I save about a year in uni because I've already taken the modules here in poly. So you see, both options are really good, and I just need a bit more time to think about it. I'm very thankful that I have so much more options now that I am in poly, back as compared to back then when I was in A levels. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Ellie.
Thank you.
Next, let me invite Natasha.
Honestly, I think if you were to ask me, like which course of study was more stressful to me, honestly, JC felt like that. But it's not because the curriculum was a whole lot more rigorous than poly. I actually fairly enjoyed my time that lasted in JC. And poly also has its fair share of work with group projects and individual submissions to work for. However, I feel that the way the poly curriculum seems easier and stands out is the way that our poly lecturers teach the content, and also the way our practical sessions are held is a lot more interesting than JC's practicals. So for example, in my course in biomedical engineering, during practical sessions, we actually get to work with actual medical devices such as infusion pumps, electrocardiograms, and actually just yesterday we had the chance to work with ventilators, which is really on par with my interest for the future. And of course, who isn't more motivated to learn when it's something that interests them or is new to them, right? So yeah, I just really like how students like us get the privilege to learn about our modules and be really hands-on with real-life applications and devices related to our course. So for engineering, of course, it's a lot more mathematically inclined. So we get involved in more physics-related work like medical circuits and the different components within these circuits like microchips. And we also do a lot more coding like Python and C programming because we are working with such complex medical circuits. As for biomedical science, it leans more towards the biology modules such as histopathology and molecular biology. And there is much less mathematical and physics concepts to the course. So yeah, it really depends on where you are leaning towards and which science you are stronger in. Thank you.
Thanks, Natasha. Thanks for giving us some insight into these biomedical engineering courses. Let's hear from a year one student. His name is Shahir.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Shahir. So I entered TP last year, actually, just 2 weeks after I finished my national service. So some background about myself. I went to JC because I did not know what I wanted to do in poly. I did not have any strong interest towards any course back then. So my goal after O levels has always been to enter university. So I thought going to JC would be the fastest route to reach university. So I like studying humanities in secondary school. I like studying social studies and history. So I thought it would be good for me to continue doing humanities in JC. And the courses that were available to me in university were humanities and business, which were not in my interest. So it was at that point in time, I decided I did not want to pursue humanities in the future. So moving on to post A-level education, 2 options were available to me, which were either private uni or poly. So I went ahead with poly because finances were an issue for me. So regarding the course, why I chose computer engineering, I had a slight interest towards computers in general. So I went ahead and chose computer engineering in TP. So I chose this course because it allows flexibility and exposure to both hardware and software. it can be very stressful when you are trying to remember a lot of information and concepts for the exams. As compared to poly modules, I would say they are more bite-sized compared to JC. There's also a huge breadth of topics that you will learn in poly. So regarding the assessment to enter university, in JC, A-levels is like the sole assessment to enter university. Whereas in poly, every small graded assessments, online and lab tests, carries a weightage to your GPA when you want to enter university.
Let's have a quick summary on what the students have shared and what we have discussed. The learning style is more hands-on in poly curriculum. Now, is this aligned better to your preference? In terms of the number of subjects, JC has fewer but go deep, whereas in poly, students take more subjects but bite size. It appears that A-level is relatively more stressful than poly. This could be attributed to the assessment method. As for assessment method, in JC, you take one exam and that determines almost everything. But in poly, we focus on continuous assessment and exam is just about 30%. In fact, there is an increasing trend that more subjects are moving away from exams. I've earlier covered the chances of getting into universities. There are more opportunities these days for poly grads to further their education in our local universities. In fact, poly grads are presented with more options. They can choose to go to work apart from a fixated path to go uni. Some may also like to take a leap year to go to work first, then think about the courses they like to pursue in the universities. This is an example of a lifelong learning style. Last but not least, other considerations. No uniform in poly, which is pretty obvious. And to some who feel that language is not their strength, there is no general paper or mother tongue to add on to their stress.
All right, next we will share about what is life in poly. All right, so may I invite Caleb to give us some insights about his life in poly?
Hi. Yeah. Okay. So, I previously studied in Bowen Secondary School, and during then, I really realized that I enjoyed doing physics and math. So I kind of had an idea that I may want to do engineering in the future. So I applied for AAE in mechatronics. So for my curriculum, CA consists of projects, labs, and mini tests, and they all count towards my GPA. So I would say that consistency is very important. And I personally enjoy the lab sessions as I can learn a lot of practical skills. So last year, I bought a secondhand guitar and rewired it, and now it works thanks to one of the modules that I learned last year, which is circuit analysis. And currently, for this semester, one of the subjects that I really enjoy is machining technology, because I can try out and learn how to do the machining processes such as milling, turning, and drilling as well. In addition to all these subjects, we also have subjects that teach us useful skills that we can use for the workforce, such as resume writing and learning about work communication. And as for extracurricular activities, I'm currently enrolled in the engineers program and DP Lead program, which gives us opportunities to attend programs and camps to learn about leadership qualities. And DP has a lot of clubs also. So I'm in the swimming club and also the engineers peer mentor club. So I can train during swimming sessions while also serving in the engineer peer mentors club. Yeah, and that's my experience in school.
Thanks, Caleb. Thanks. All right, next I want to bring on board Ryan. All right, Ryan is currently our year 3 student.
Hi everyone, I'm Ryan. I did some research and found that in poly I could gain technical skills and knowledge that would be useful in the workforce. And I never got that chance in secondary school because it's mainly focused on academics. I chose poly because it gives me more freedom, not in the sense that we don't have clothes and uniform, although that's a great thing too. But I'm more responsible and in charge of my own time, so I can plan out my day, and it's less stressful to me. So, like Caleb, I'm also in the engineers program. So these are just one of the many activities that TP offers us. And my favorite part of this engineers program will be the higher engineering skills. In these higher engineering skills, I was given the opportunity to program a microcontroller, Arduino. And it was my first time, so I learned the basics of it and even submitted a project for a competition, which won gold. So I'm currently the president of the EMC, Engineering Makers Club also. And what we do here is to build and create things. So as well as conduct outreach events to raise awareness of engineering and teach the general public as well as other TP students about engineering and DIY skills.
We would like to invite an alumni for the sharing. Let's welcome Surya.
Good evening, Dr. Ho. Thank you for
Hi.
inviting me back. It's always been a good experience to be back in Poly, and I still enjoy to come back to Poly. First of all, I think I was very lucky to join TP. In other words, it was fortunate when I was looking through courses and I applied different polytechnics. TP came. I got an opportunity to join TP under mechatronics and aerospace engineering. It's a joint program currently converted to common engineering program. Since my interest was also in robotics, I joined Engineering Makers Club as a member and started helping out with projects and learning stuff from Engineering Makers Club. And this moved on my interest, and I was getting more engaged in it. Then I started joining up competitions like Tan Kang Ki Young Inventors Award, SCTV Electric Go-Kart Design Challenge. Slowly, TP brought my network not just within TP, but also outside TP, introducing what the community needs and how can we solve problems in the community. How can we work out with different partners and organizations, which was a really eye-opening place for me. And I didn't thought it would be so different. It was a point where I started to realize life is not just studying and focusing on yourself, but you need to open up and see what others are doing and how you can cooperate and how you can do something different with what you know.
Thank you so much for sharing with us, Surya. Your experience and what you think is value add to you.
I'd like to leave you with the following takeaways from today's webinar. Do your homework on your next step. Seriously ask yourself, what do you want to do next? And plan early. Pick something that aligns with your interests and your learning style. What if you are not sure which course or which pathway to take? Seek advice from the ECG counselors, teachers, family members, your seniors, or talk to our course consultants.
We have already come to the end of our webinar. Thanks for your question and the time attending the webinar. Check out our website for more information as mentioned before.